Hey guys, this is Warwick back for another game of casual chess. Looks like another 5-minute game today, and my opponent is from Israel, slightly higher rated than I am, at 1452, but hopefully that's not a problem, so let's get into it. Pretty ordinary development in the Berlin defense here. I'm going to Fiat and Shadow my bishop there, onto the G7 square, and I'll castle kingside. Okay, pretty ordinary still. Looks like my opponent wants to trade off knights. I think I'll allow him to do that. And I don't think I'll allow him to do that. So it looks like he wants that queen trade. I'll retake with my bishop and then look to target that C2 square. Still looking to target that C2 square. He's gone and made a defensive play now. My options would be to retake, pardon me, to take on the B3 square, that bishop, or to take on E2. And I think what I'll do is I'll simply allow him to retake there with that knight, and instead I will play A4. Okay, now I've got a pawn up the board there. And I may look to do something like I think Be6 to get my bishop into the game and to potentially get rid of his bishop, or at least counteract it along that long diagonal. I'll take that there now. Now I want to move my bishop to E4, but after E4 I've got something like F4 coming, which is not ideal. So what I'll do is I'll drop back for the moment and then look to play potentially F5. Okay, fairly expected here. I think my rook across from A8 to E8, and I will still look to play F5 after this. Okay, we've been blocked from doing that. Not a big deal particularly. Rook E5. I have to say I don't really understand the point of that maneuver there. I'll simply drop back to E8. He has forced me away from that E5 square, but I just don't understand the benefit to him for doing so. Okay. I'll play F6 now to force that bishop back. And I think I'll simply start to lock down those dark squares there. C5 up the board, attempting to lock down the queen side a bit. Now it looks like my opponent is intending to make a sacrifice of his bishop potentially on the G5 square. This wouldn't bother me. But nonetheless, I think I will play H6, preparing for that H4 maneuver, potentially. I'll take there to undouble my pawns. I realise that retaking with that pawn enables the the move of Rook B2. Not worried about that because of course I've already placed my rook on E7. Okay. So where to next? I think I'll play Rook E8. Gonna have to start moving a little bit more quickly than my opponent here. Okay, now Rook D7 to protect both of those pawns there. Probably Rook D8 would have been better than Rook E8 in that most previous move, but so be it. Okay, we will play King G to H7. And my idea now is to attempt to redirect my bishop over to the other side of the board. Pardon me for the coughing, a little bit of a sore throat this morning. Okay, let's get that rook away, forcing him to drop back probably to, there we go. B6. B6 naturally in defense of that pawn there on C5. Rook B7 now, again supporting that pawn. I did see this one coming, but I actually miscalculated that there. I thought that I'd be able to retake on E4. That's not going to be the case, because of course E4 is protected by the rook on G5. Although it's possible that I'll be able to retake on E4 now after playing H5. So there we go, that's winning that pawn back. And lining up on another pawn. Okay. So what about now something like getting my king across the board and then potentially looking to redirect that rook? Okay, he's played forward with his pawn. An interesting move there. I'll take on F5 with check, freeing up the G6 square for me to run to, and now over to Rook B5. Don't see how my opponent is really able to make progress now, but it looks to me like I'm actually going to run out of time. Okay. I think that's just about time up for me, and I think I probably will resign there. Okay, so look, a decent defense of that pawn coming down the B file, but I wasn't able to defend against the A file, probably just because I was rushing there. I don't think we had that game lost until the very end, but let's get into the analysis now and we'll see how that all played out. Alright, I'll be back in a moment. Okay guys, we're back with the analysis now. So as you can see up in the top right hand corner, 86 accuracy for my opponent, 62 for me. 62 is not too bad, but it certainly could be better. I'd like to be up around that 86 mark where my opponent was. Although I think most of the reason why I'm not higher is because of all these moves towards the end of the game. So if you drop down now and you can see this graph here, you can see it all really fell apart, especially here. This was our major error here. We were actually pretty well even on the board with a one pawn advantage to my opponent. However, after my opponent drops back there to h2 with his king, I dropped to e3, and the perfect move was actually a1, so that I could protect against that pawn coming down the a file. You may remember at the end of that game I said I couldn't defend the a file, and I think that was because I was running out of time. Well, this is the perfect instance. We had 5.7 seconds on the clock to come up with that move. Not enough, unfortunately, and even if we had come up with it, I don't know that we would have actually been able to stop ourselves from running out of time, because of course we weren't playing on any increment, no added time per move. But anyway, getting into the analysis a bit more deeply, you can see one missed win for my opponent, although that doesn't matter, he got the win in the end anyway. 2 blunders for him, and just 1 for me though, but 8 mistakes for me and 3 for my opponent, so that is where it really started to fall apart. Although the inaccuracies were fairly even, I would point out though that on the analysis line you can see that the game did go for 62 moves. So at this level of ELO ranking, about 1400, that many inaccuracies is not uncalled for, although of course the less the better. About the same amount of best moves, I would say, with the exception of my excellent moves starting to add up a bit. So if you combine those excellent moves and best moves, we're 28 to 34, not too far apart. But look, a bit to learn from that game, mainly just taking control of those files, especially in an endgame situation like this with rooks and pawns, stopping my opponent from advancing his way down the board and getting a queen, because even if this game did go on forever, that would have been what killed me, so plenty to learn from that. I would point out that we did have the advantage though, fairly early on in the game, something like this. Now, what move was this? This was move 11, Bb3. Now, I chose to play a5, which was another inaccuracy. I did look at a move like Be6, which is suggested now to be the best option, because after Be6 and knight e2, then I can take and win a pawn over there. Now, this I did not see. I didn't see that it was winning a pawn. I was actually anticipating something like Be6. Be6 and e2, bishop takes, sorry, no, not bishop takes. I was thinking, what was I thinking? Something like c6, I thought. Bishop takes, pawn retakes, just to open up that f file. I think that's what I was thinking. But obviously I've missed something there, because I would have had a fork there on the c2 square. So look, a bit of work needs to be done on those tactical maneuvers, but otherwise I think the game is okay. Something to learn from, despite the fact that my opponent did get the win in the end. Play a bit quicker, play a bit more tactically, and I would have avoided that. So anyway guys, I think we'll call that one there, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next game. Playing a couple of more these few days than usual, and I think it's starting to get to me. I'm getting a couple of wins, but a couple of losses where I really shouldn't be. So, hoping to still improve over time, and I hope you'll be there for that journey. But let me know if you liked the video with a like, and if you didn't, please let me know what I could improve. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks, bye.